I'm Nancy Fredericks with Nancy Fredericks International, and thanks for listening to Mindful Business Tip number 19, Moving from Frozen into Production. You know, that title probably sounds a bit ambiguous to me, so let me explain where it came about. I have a lot on my plate this week. I have a lot of personal obligations that I've made and promises that I've made. And I also have a lot of business promises that I've made and projects that need to be completed. And I'm overloaded. I'm overstressed and overloaded to the point actually where I find myself staring into space, kind of numb, not knowing where to go because I can't possibly get everything done. And I'm thinking perhaps some of you have felt like this yourself. So let me share with you what I've done to get back into movement, back into production, and out of that frozen state. The first thing I do, honestly, and you've probably heard me say this before, it's the best advice you can take. Take a deep breath and then say to yourself, I have more than enough time to accomplish absolutely everything that's necessary on my to-do list. I have more than enough time. And you continue to repeat that until you feel yourself calming down and reconnecting. Because you see what happens when you're in panic, when you're overstressed, is that your brain actually goes into that nasty little thing called fight, flight, or freeze. And I often go into freeze. And you know what happens when you go into either of these, not either, all of these three mechanisms, you actually bypass the cerebral cortex of your brain. You got it, the thinking part of your brain. So when you most need it because you're overloaded, you don't have it. So breath, because the first secret I want to share with you is reconnect with your brain. Reconnect, because if you don't do that, all the other steps that you try to do will be slower and will have less positive results for yourself. What's the second thing I do? You know, I look at my to-do list, both personal and business, and I look at them and I say, hey, is there anything that I can eliminate from this list? Are there things on this list that I'd like to achieve, that I think would be great if I achieved, but aren't absolutely essential today? And if that's so, take them off your list. You know, one of the things that I then do is I say, okay, perhaps I can take this off my list. Then I ask myself the question, what is it worth to me if I take it off the list? You know, is this project worth utilizing my talents and my time and my expertise to accomplish? And if the answer is no, or it's good but not like great, then I ask myself the next question, which is really critical to ask yourself. What is the cost if I don't do it? Because to many of you out there in the business world, some of these projects have been assigned to you by your bosses. Like me, some of these projects are things that you've promised to do. And so, is the cost worth it? Your time and effort? And let me share a story with you. A president of a company where I did a number of leadership programs for a number of years used to come in and introduce his leadership hit list. And one of them was this very fact. He would take the Stephen Covey 4 quadrants and he'd name all of the projects that he had and he'd go, this is what I concentrate on, you know, Stephen Covey's second quadrant. And then he tapped the overhead with his little pointer and he goes, this is what the board has told me I need to do. But honestly, if I do this, I'm not going to be able to have time to get this done, and this is the biggest leverage to the company, and so I take a hit on my performance evaluation every year on this. But I get great evaluation because I'm knocking off the things that are really important to the company. So if you can afford to take a hit, do so. What's the next thing I do? I look and see if I can delegate this to someone. Is this a project that someone that I know would gain added value knowledge and would add to their resume? Or is it in an area of their strength where they can knock it out in a nanosecond and it takes me an hour to do? And if that's true, I delegate it to that person. So the first secret is connect to your brain. The second secret is look at delegating and eliminating. And I call it red. So the moment I get into overstress, I go red. Reduce, eliminate, and delegate. Now, the third secret isn't quite as easy as the first secret because it really takes leadership mindset. And yet the payoff is huge because you have to look at your projects because you're still going to be overwhelmed. Even with eliminate and delegate, you still probably have, like I do, way too many on your to-do list. And the next thing is, what's the ROI? What's the return on investment? What is going to impact the bottom line? What's the biggest leverage project that I have right now? What's going to make the biggest difference? Because we have a tendency that once a project gets on a to-do list, that they become equal in value. And the truth is, they're not. There are some projects there that have higher level value to both your career and or your company than one of the other ones. And honestly, that's the project you should be working on. High value, high leverage, high return on investment. And the reason I say that this is harder, because takes mental leadership thinking, but it also demonstrates leadership right in the moment. So right away, ROI, what's important leverage, and this not only takes you out of overstress, it also takes you into being seen and perceived as a leader. So those are my 3 secrets. I want you to know that the moment I put them into practice, because I coach myself as much as I coach other people, I get back to calmness, I get back to action, I get back to production, which is where we all need to be in today's age. So I hope these 3 secrets have supported you a bit. Much success to you always. I look forward to sharing more information with you in the up-and-coming Mindful Business Tips. Have a great week. Thanks.